Just so you know, this show is about scary stuff. So don't say I didn't warn you guys. And remember, don't be scared.
Episode 68, Catastrophic. War Baby here with another episode of Murderous Minors. It's summer and kids everywhere are glad that the official end of this unconventional school year has finally arrived. Although many won't be doing their usual things during this school break, at least there's no getting up early, no classes, and no homework. With little to do and many parents at work, it can be very easy for children and teens to find themselves bored and in trouble. Couple that with a taste in all things dark, and you may have a recipe for disaster. On this episode of Murderous Minors, we visit Rothesay, Isle of Bute, Scotland, and a boy who wanted to have the experience of killing someone. He mentioned it to a friend after watching a crime documentary. 16-year-old Aaron Campbell, originally from Shrewsbury, Shropshire, England, added that he knew taking a life would end in his future being demolished. He knew it was a bad idea. It was in 2017 when that conversation took place, but it wasn't until July of the following year that it began to look truly sinister in hindsight. Aaron Campbell and his family moved to Rothesay on the Isle of Bute just before he began school. And since his father traveled frequently for work, it was usually just he, his sister, and their mother Jeanette. Father Chris was a supervisor on an offshore oil rig. Like many his age, Aaron had a healthy online presence with various social media accounts. At 12 years of age, he started his own YouTube channel, where he posted videos of his complex flips and tricks on his backyard trampoline. He was very physically active and fit for his age, training regularly in the gym, able to bench press 110 pounds, and also spending endless hours practicing parkour, the movement sport based on military obstacle course training techniques. Videos about haunted houses and about the fictional character Slender Man were prominent on his feed as well, and he was known for harboring an obsession with the tall, faceless entity known for luring kids into the woods. As Aaron grew up on this beautiful but quiet island, he started partying, as teens sometimes do, using drugs and alcohol as a way to deal with his personal problems. He had friends and recklessly dated local girls. At school, he had gained a reputation for being aggressive after allegedly sexually assaulting a classmate and showing pictures from his cell phone to his friends to prove it. In such a small community of less than 7,000, Aaron Campbell was notorious for being dark and interested in violence and horror. There was a rumor from his earlier childhood that he had tried to drown a girl. There were more current rumors of animal torture and potential arson. His mental health was suffering too, and he frequently voiced suicidal ideations. He fought a lot with his mother, who he said had an alcohol problem. She admitted it when interviewed later, but it seemed that whatever the extent of her drinking, it affected Aaron's happiness and home life negatively. The 2017 through 18 school year had just ended, and 6-year-old Alicia McPhail was set to spend the next few weeks on the Isle of Bute with her dad Robert McPhail, his girlfriend Tony McLaughlin, as well as her grandparents Callum and Angela, as the four lived in the same house. Alicia had come from the mainland city of Airdrie, North Lanarkshire, 12 miles from Glasgow, Scotland, where she lived with her mother Georgina and her 4-year-old sister in a place as ordinary as Rothesay was majestic. The journey to the Isle came complete with a ferry ride, and Bute was previously known for being an affordable family vacation destination for generations. It's an idyllic resort town famous in contemporary history for hosting the wedding of Stella McCartney, daughter of Paul, and also for being the hometown of famous Scottish child singer Lena Zavaroni. The secluded environment leaves little for teens to do, as is often the case for small towns, and Aaron and his friends routinely drank alcohol and smoked marijuana all about the Isle. Living close to Alicia's grandparents, Aaron often bought the marijuana from her dad. His mother would later tell the Scottish Sun when interviewed, quote, "I wanted him to grow up in a safe place, a peaceful environment, and get a good education. He wasn't a violent boy, he was very normal. Yes, he smoked cannabis, but it's rife among kids on this island. I knew he was buying it from Rob and Tony, but what could I do? If I went to the police, my son would be in trouble." Jeanette Campbell confronted young Tony, requesting she quit selling drugs to her child, but was told it was Alicia's father, Tony's 26-year-old boyfriend Robert, who was the actual guilty party. Alicia's mother Georgina also felt that her daughter would be safe, certainly safer playing outside there than she was at home in the city. She had just completed her 2nd year of school at Chapelside Primary, where she was known as a bubbly child with a dazzling smile. With the school year over, it was time for Alicia to travel to Bute, as she did frequently since her parents had split, with the plan to stay for the first 3 weeks of summer vacation. She spent every other weekend plus holidays with her dad in Rothesay and loved her time there, showing promise in the Highland dance class she took on the Isle. Like Aaron Campbell, Alicia had a backyard trampoline and also yearned for fame on YouTube, pastimes and interests shared globally by children, even now. Alicia arrived in Rothesay to her father on June 28, 2018, and immediately the fun began. She had wanted to attend a dance class but missed it. Instead, they went to the beach at lovely Ettrick Bay. Alicia's grandparents recalled later the fun she had in the water, and the next day at a gala day celebration, taking donkey and train rides. On July 1st, 2018, Alicia's grandfather escorted her back to her hometown of Airdrie for a friend's birthday party. Unfortunately, they were a day late for the celebration, but luckily, Alicia ran into another friend and was able to join her at the party she was attending. Back in Rothesay by 5:30 p.m., the pair played on the beach before Alicia was handed off to Robert and Tony, who took her to the park, then the grocery store, before arriving home around 8 p.m. with her grandmother as well, who'd picked them all up. By 11 p.m., Tony McLaughlin had turned off the Peppa Pig video that Robert had put Alicia to bed with and went to bed for the evening. Around the same time, and a few houses away, 16-year-old Aaron Campbell was drunk at a party he'd thrown with about a dozen friends from school. They'd just completed exams, and Aaron, who excelled at math and physics, had aspirations of eventually going to college and becoming an engineer or a video game designer. His mother had allowed him to have friends over to celebrate the start of summer, but she had been drinking too, and the pair argued all night. The party ended around 12:30 a.m. A friend who attended the get-together described Aaron as drunk and upset, distraught over his mother's drinking and their constant disagreements. He went so far as to call Aaron suicidal and recalled that he became intent on purchasing marijuana. He sent a message to Alicia McPhail's dad, Robert, but then remembered that he owed him £10 after a dispute a few months back over the quality of the product he'd bought from him. So instead, he texted Tony but received no response from her either. About an hour and a half later, at just about 2 a.m., Aaron set out from his house with a knife he had taken from the block in his kitchen. He was heading for the McPhails, and his intention was to steal marijuana from their home. Security cameras had recently been placed on the Campbell family's home because an elderly family member was set to move in, and it yielded important footage of Aaron's comings and goings over the next few hours. When he arrived at the McPhail home, he said he saw that there was a key in the front door, so he tossed the knife onto the beach nearby and entered without force. The first door he encountered was 6-year-old Alicia McPhail's. Though he hadn't gone there with murder on his mind, when he saw the sleeping girl, he couldn't pass up the opportunity to do harm. Between 2:30 and 3 a.m., other people's cameras captured a figure walking along the road near the beach, carrying what appeared to be a child, legs dangling. Aaron had stealthily removed the sleeping girl from her bed and carried her for 15 minutes until they arrived at the grounds of an abandoned hotel, her feet never touching the ground. As they walked, groggy Alicia asked what was going on, and Aaron told her he was a friend of her dad's and was taking her home. When she said she was cold, he covered her in his hoodie. Once on the hotel property, the true horror began. Alicia was raped and ultimately murdered. Autopsy results would indicate that she had 117 wounds on her body, with her genital region enduring, quote, catastrophic damage indicative of severe, forceful, inflicted penetration. Injury to her cervical spine indicated that she was likely shaken forcefully, her head swung about. Cause of death was determined to be pressure applied to Alicia's face and neck. The 6-year-old was suffocated. The pathologist would later testify that he had never seen injuries as severe as Alicia's. Just over an hour later, the cameras on his house caught Aaron arriving home around 3:30 a.m. 10 minutes later, Aaron left for 7 minutes, returned without his sweatpants and hoodie, and left again 6 minutes later, this time carrying a flashlight. He was gone for 9 minutes, retrieving his cell phone that he had left at the murder scene. This episode is brought to you by StoryWorth. Finding the perfect present for Dad is tough, especially if you don't have the luxury of celebrating Father's Day together in person. Even though I'm so lucky to live 10 minutes from my dad, I enjoy spending every minute that I can with him. I know that more than anything, parents cherish spending time with family. That's why I'm giving my dad the most meaningful gift this year, a chance to connect with loved ones through StoryWorth. It's a unique concept I've told you about before, so just keep it in mind for a long-distance, last-minute, or belated Father's Day gift. StoryWorth is a fun and meaningful way to engage with family, especially with relatives you might not get to see often. This online service helps your loved ones share stories through thought-provoking questions about their memories and personal thoughts. It's the gift of spending time together wherever you live. Every week, StoryWorth emails your family member different story prompts. Questions you've never thought to ask, like, what have been some of your life's greatest surprises? After 1 year, StoryWorth will compile every answered question and photo you choose to include into a beautiful keepsake book, and it's shipped for free. Give your dad the most meaningful gift this year with StoryWorth. Get started right away without the need for shipping by going to storyworth.com/warbaby, and you'll get $10 off your first purchase. That's storyworth.com/warbaby for $10 off. Security cameras showed Aaron returning home for the last time just after 4 a.m. At 6 a.m., Alicia's grandfather Callum reportedly noticed she was